What's going on? Welcome back to the
Hello,
Savage
everyone.
Pie. Yeah, we fucking missed you guys. How was your week? Tell us how your week was. Fuck, I missed you guys.
So, I think we'll just get into it. We actually have some things to talk about this week.
Yep.
So, we have been playing a lot of Magic the Gathering recently on, well, we used to play the card game, obviously.
Yep.
But we've been playing it on the Magic the Gathering Arena recently.
Yeah, because COVID, you can't socialize now,
Yeah.
I guess.
You can't go to tournaments anymore.
Yeah, what the fuck is a tournament? Ugh, whatever, fuck.
But anyways, so we've been playing it, and before that, we were actually playing Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah.
We were playing Yu-Gi-Oh! On an online, way to play Yu-Gi-Oh!
Just to see how the meta holds up, just to see how the game's changed.
We were playing it because we like Yu-Gi-Oh! Too.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't have Magic the Gathering Arena on our computers at that time.
Yeah.
So what we did is we went in and we played some Yu-Gi-Oh! And we realized very quickly when we started, because the service we were playing on, it just kind of gives you all the cards, and it's just like, here, have fun like messing with decks and stuff. We realized very quickly that the new cards are completely busted in Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah, unrealistically broken. 2-turn win conditions.
Yeah, like 2-turn win conditions. And it's like, literally, once I realized that, like, I built a deck.
We don't have the MTG up.
What?
We don't have the MTG up.
Oh, right, we have the wrong logo. Terribly sorry about that. Here, 2 seconds. Boop, boop. There we go. Yeah, so we got Magic the Gathering logo up now.
Yeah, but that's going to be another...
That's going to be another topic for later in the episode.
Yeah. So, sorry to continue.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, so we were playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And I have, like, a deck of actual cards, and then I went and I'm like, let's see if I can make this deck on the game using some new cards that I don't have yet. And I made some changes to the deck, and then the deck had a consistent 2-turn win condition.
Yeah, 3 out of 4 games.
Yeah, 3 out of 4 games. I got this 2-turn win condition. It can be stopped, obviously, but it's like,
if you have the cards on turn 2.
Yeah, by turn 2.
Yeah.
When we say turn 2, I should specify because some people count differently. When we say turn 2, it means on the second turn of that player, not on the second turn of the game. Because some people will say that's technically turn 5.
Yeah.
Because it's, your opponent goes, you go, your opponent goes, you go, and then your opponent doesn't get a second turn, so it's turn 4.
Yeah, you just get smoked.
Yeah, so it's turn 3 or 4 you win.
Yeah.
Or if you're counting just that player, then it's that player's second turn, and they win the game. And this wasn't the only one. We found a bunch of them just by using new cards.
Yep.
And it's like, it's crazy because Yu-Gi-Oh! Was never that game.
It got really boring really quickly.
Yeah, because it's just, you always would just use the same strategy, and if it didn't work, then you have to figure out something, or you would just lose.
Yeah, whereas when we were kids, we would have like 20, 30-minute games.
Yeah. And even just one-on-one.
Yeah,
like just back and forth.
Forever. Strategy. It took
Because
strategy. Now it's like, oh, you get a good draw. It's over.
Yeah. And it's not even... The thing is, like, you could say, oh, it still takes strategy now. Like, because there's actually, like, a strategy in getting that combo off. And it's like, yes, but once you do it once, you now know how to do it. And you never have to think again about how to do the combo.
Yeah, no, exactly.
You know? It's, like, if you look at the older cards were all kind of built more around, I am good, and I kind of work with myself. And then you look at the new meta, the newer cards, and they're all built around, I am a theme, and I work with all of these other cards to do one specific thing. Well, not necessarily one specific thing, but to do something.
And that's not to say that, like, the old style didn't have archetypes, because it obviously did, but they just don't...
They were built around playing the game with that particular archetype, and not
playing
built
out the archetype, not, like, having just 1 or 2 cards in that archetype that are viable.
Yeah, and everything else is just trying to get those cards on the field.
Yeah, like the Gladiator Beast, for instance. Like, they're a consistent archetype.
That's a bad example, because the Gladiator Beasts were busted when they were released.
Blackwings.
Blackwings were less busted.
Consistent.
Yeah, they were.
Like,
and
Blackwings are consistent.
There was a lot you could do with it. You didn't have to just do one strategy, because there were so many Blackwing cards. Like, so many. Yeah. So you could build so many different decks out of it. But now, like, you look at the new archetypes, and it's just like, oh, okay, I see what this archetype does, I see what the cards are doing, and I'm going to throw them all together.
Yeah. It basically comes down to, like, how Yeah, a draw. It's like a one draw.
Yeah,
Like,
but I think the what we're kind of trying to get at here, the main thing, is the idea of well, for lack of a better term, it's power creep. Yu-Gi-Oh got hit by power creep, and every single season of Yu-Gi-Oh, the cards have been better, just distinctively better than the previous season.
consistently better too. Like it's
Yeah, it hasn't gone down. Like you go through, like you can go through every single season. It's like season 1, you had a lot of normal type or I almost said Pokemon. You had a lot of normal type Yu-Gi-Oh cards that didn't really do much. And then after that,
the effect monsters came in.
yeah, the effect monsters came in, and it had a lot more kind of interesting effects, interesting combos and stuff. And then
Depth to the
after,
game.
yeah, and like different ways to kind of run the cards. And then after that, you had synchro monsters, which was an easier way to get cards out of your extra deck. And then after that, it had exceed monsters, which are XYZ. Some people call them XYZ, but they're technically supposed to be called exceed, I think.
Exes?
Whatever it is.
Exes?
No, I think it's exceed.
Whatever, they're garbage. Exes.
Yeah, so then those came out, and they were just so much easier to play than synchros because you didn't need the tuner anymore. You just needed to have a certain number of monsters that were all the same level.
Yep.
And then after that, you had this might have been before actually, but at some point you had the stinking pendulum cards, which were just so easy to get on the field. And then after that, you had the Link Monsters, which was actually, I would say the Link Monsters was the first time the whole series actually got a nerf. They nerfed, like Link Monsters, it nerfed your ability to summon a little bit, and then it nerfed the Pendulum Monsters a little bit, but that was about it, because now the Pendulum zones weren't separate zones, they took up your spell and trap card zones. So you couldn't have 5 spells and 2 pendulums. You could only have 3 spells and 2 pendulums, or 5 spells.
Yeah. And I mean, altering game mechanics. I think that's one of the things that we talk about most when we talk about this subject, is just like the idea that Magic 20 life has been 20 life.
Yeah, like Yu-Gi-Oh has not just upscaled.
Commander aside.
Yeah, Commander aside. There's a few other modes where your life total changes, but like when it comes to just standard Magic games, like the standard rule set, you're playing with 20 life. And it's been 20 life forever, I think. I don't think it was ever not 20 life.
Correct us if we're wrong. Don't, if the quartering comes in here and kicks the shit out of us over that, then fine. But like,
you're like, oh yeah, it was 15 and a half life in like 1986.
Yeah, you fucking plebes. We're sorry, Jeremy.
But like, yeah, as long as I've been playing,
but shout out to the quartering, because that guy is a fucking wizard. Yeah, like, well, you've been playing Magic for a while.
I've been playing Magic for a long time. I started in high school.
You taught me how to play.
Yeah, and it was 20 Magic. It was 20 life back then when I started playing. When I first started going to tournaments in college.
Yeah.
And like. I look at the new cards in Magic, and I look at the old cards in Magic, and I'm like, these cards are almost the same. Every once in a while, like an absolutely busted card will come out that will just make me mad. But for the most part...
Platinum Angel?
Like Platinum Angel, which they brought back into Magic the Gathering Arena, and I'm so mad about it.
Speaking of which, the new Kamigawa pack's out, and this fucking guy, we play MTG, and this fucking guy, in his first, 3 Kamigawa packs, this fucking dude gets
mythic.
Yeah.
The mythic dragon enchantment.
Yeah, it's a fucking dragon spirit, and then he got a legendary dragon the next pack.
Yeah.
The fucking guy. Like,
it was 2 packs later.
I got a goblin. Yeah, that's what I
From
got.
Kamigawa?
From Kamigawa, I got a goblin.
Well, that happens sometimes.
And a 1/1 fucking, and a 1 cost. Well, I mean, I got some decent cards, but I got nothing like that.
Yeah, I mean that's just how it happens sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, I've pulled 2 mythic wild cards out of packs.
Well,
and I don't think you've got any of those.
No, but I think that's payback from when we played Pokemon. Okay, my luck with Pokemon, stupid.
Yeah,
stupid.
Yeah, we were playing Pokemon. What was that? That was the Emerald one, right? or was that
Groudon. Yeah, it was Emerald when I caught Groudon.
Yeah. Yes, I was Emerald. Yeah.
Yeah, and I caught a Groudon with a Pokeball. First try.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck it, whatever. I had like 10 Pokeballs going into the fucking fight, and we were just like planning on just going through and resetting, like scum saving until we got a Groudon. I threw my Pokeball, caught it first Pokeball.
Yeah.
It was fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. But anyways, back to Magic. What we're trying to bring up here when it comes to the Yu-Gi-Oh versus Magic debate, because there is somewhat of a debate, I would say, between the two games. But whenever I look at the
it's
debate,
like chess versus checkers, I would say.
It's
very much so.
No, it would be like chess versus checkers if chess decided to release new pieces that could they were like queens, but they acted like knights. And it's like, well, yeah, of course. Once you add that, it changes the game. But man, it makes it less fun to play now.
No, but I mean like Yu-Gi-Oh would be checkers.
Instant checkmates.
Like Yu-Gi-Oh would be checkers. And
no, Yu-Gi-Oh would be chess.
Yu-Gi-Oh would be chess.
And Magic is checkers. Because Magic has a much more defined set of rules. And Yu-Gi-Oh, the cards can just do whatever the text wants them to.
Yeah, I guess that's fair, yeah. It's a solid template for a game. And
yeah, because like Magic, it's
consistent.
It's play style, like how it works, how the effects work, all that. It's very similar. Like you look at cards that come out in the new packs, and you're like, oh, this is the exact same as card that came out in previous pack, but with a small change that can make a big difference in the current meta.
Yeah, follow us on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram.
Yeah, we got all our socials up on the top left there.
Yeah, like the last episode, we kind of changed some things up. Sorry, like to just get off topic. I just noticed like we still have our new layout, and I'm really pumped about it.
Oh yeah, the new layout.
Yeah, I love it.
I think it's great.
I know, me too. I'm really happy with it. I'm really happy with it. Sorry, continue.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Magic is the kind of game where the rules have not changed, and the amount of people that are or not people, the amount of effects. Where am I going with this? I just lost my train of thought there.
Archetypes? The amount of archetypes?
No, not the archetypes, but like the just kind of the ridiculousness. Like it's not there. There are very few cards in Magic that guarantee you a win, and usually if a card does guarantee you a win, it's not because that card guarantees you a win. It's because you had the proper setup, which you've been setting up probably for several turns by that point.
Stupid ass fountain.
Well, even then, you can say, oh, that's a guaranteed win. But it's like, it's not really, because you can easily just destroy it with any enchantment destruction.
That's fair.
Or any artifact destruction.
You can blow it up, yeah.
You can just blow up the artifact. And if it's a card where it's like, if you're versing a deck that doesn't have a way to deal with it, then maybe you'll win. But if it does have a way to deal with it, then you probably will be fine. If you can just get rid of it. And that is really the difficulty when you're building like Magic decks, is like, what do I need to consider? Because I'll build a Magic deck, and the only thing I'll consider is, what do I want this deck to do?
Yeah.
I don't think about what do I want this deck to be able to handle. And so I will get into situations like Platinum Angel, where it's just like, oh, I don't have any creature destruction in this deck. I guess I lose now. But yeah. Yu-Gi-Oh, it's even worse in Yu-Gi-Oh, because in Yu-Gi-Oh, you can literally just get stuck behind 2 Watt Crickets. A Watt Cricket is a card that just goes, you can't target any other Watt monsters with anything. And then you put a second Watt Cricket down, and the 2 Watt Crickets make you unable to target the other one.
Or you get fucking Grand Mole.
But Grand Mole's not.
You get Grand Mole early on.
Even then, it's not a hard. It's not a how. With the current meta, it's just like, I'll just special summon faster than you can drop Grand Mole onto the field.
Yeah, I guess the special summoning is like one of
like
those
the special summoning now in the current meta is so ridiculous. You can drop more than 5 cards onto the field in one turn.
Yeah.
And it's like, unless someone has built a deck around stopping that, there's not much you can do about it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to just stun lock people.
And like with Magic, it's really hard to get, like in Yu-Gi-Oh, the old system was designed in a way where it's like, let's make the game take a bit to get going, right? you summon one monster. The next turn, you summon a second monster. The third turn, you tribute those two monsters to summon a bigger monster. And that's kind of how it worked for a long time. But then the new game was like, let's just forget all of that old stuff and instead make it so that you can special summon a monster for free. And then because you special summon that monster, you get to special summon a second monster for free. And because you special summon that monster, you can now link summon those monsters for free. And then because you have a link monster and that link monster's effect lets you special summon another monster from your hand for free. And then that monster that you summoned can then be tributed to normal summon a monster. And now you have two big monsters on the field turn one.
Yeah.
And like this is just how the new game runs. This is like Yu-Gi-Oh! Kind of all the stuff that was put in place to slow down the game has been removed slowly over time. Like giving every single creature the ability to special summon itself, to special summon something else, and to be used as a material for a link or a synchro or XYZ monster.
Yeah, just exploitative now.
Yeah. And it's like Magic doesn't have that. Magic, you still have to play one land on your first turn. And then you can play a 1 cost. Second land on your second turn. Yeah. Now you can play a 2 cost. Third land on the third turn. Now you can play a 3 cost. And so there's a lot of like kind of back and forth about like even when you're playing, you just have so much more that you have to think about. Like,
well, that fucking game I was playing today, like where both of us were stuck behind having like no land.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was up to like whoever got out the biggest thing, and I got out the fucking mirror.
And it's like obviously you're gonna have situations where one person just doesn't get any land and the other person gets cards, and then they win because they got cards.
Yeah.
That does happen in Magic. It happens in Yu-Gi-Oh too, though.
But you also have something in Magic that you don't have in Yu-Gi-Oh, which is a mulligan.
That's true. Yu-Gi-Oh might have mulligans. I haven't played in a tournament in so long.
I've never played it.
You've never...
I've never played in a tournament, and I've never played a game where it offered you the option to mulligan.
Okay, so maybe it doesn't have mulligans then.
Like all of those games are usually
it's just, it's one of those things that I now take for granted with Magic. I'm just like, oh, mulligans are a thing in Magic. I'm sure it's totally a thing in other card games.
You'd think, but Magic is super fucking practical.
Yeah, I mean, Pokemon...
Just saying, my girlfriend, like, fucked around with one of my white decks and beat someone. And she's never played it before.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, obviously the game is managing all the triggers and stuff for her, but she's still playing the deck. She's still, picking which monster she has to play, picking what instance she's putting on them and stuff like that. She was
obviously asking me what did what. Like, what effects were which.
Yeah,
but, I wasn't telling her what to play.
That is the one weak side to Magic that I always say, which is it's harder to get into because there's a whole bunch of one-word effects that the game expects you to know.
But MTG also has the scrolling text on the side.
It has, yeah. The MTG Arena, they actually they noticed their own problem with the game, and they implemented a thing where it's whenever there's a one-word text on a card that's supposed to explain a whole effect, it will have a sidebar with all of the text that you need to understand what that effect does.
Can we just kind of shout out MTG Arena for a sec, because the way that they develop their fucking format, so crisp. The way that their layout is set up for their game, the way that the playability of it.
Yeah.
I've never played a Yu-Gi-Oh game that was as intuitive.
Yeah.
Obviously, console games
I'll give them that.
Out of the question, because they're designed, console Yu-Gi-Oh games are usually designed to be pretty intuitive. But in terms of, a card game, there's no, fat, there's not a bunch of stupid animations. Some legendary creatures have, a short animation, and that's it. And then you go back to the game.
Yeah.
There's no bullshit. It offers you the effects. It highlights what you
can use.
Yeah.
So you don't have to actually look through. I mean, obviously, and you might think, oh, well, does this game just do everything for you? No, it doesn't. It doesn't tell you, because Magic isn't about...
It actually doesn't do anything for you.
Yeah.
You have to do it.
Exactly. It will just tell you when you can do stuff and what you can use at that time. But you have to make the conscious decision of when you use cards. There's so much... Magic has always been a very timing-heavy game.
Yep.
Where when you activate something is what matters. And...
I'm really loving that with my vampires.
I have lost games in tournaments having 14 life left, and my opponent attacked me with a 1 cost, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'll just take it. It's a 1 cost, and they're like, I boosted by 13, and now you lose, and I'm like, I didn't know that was going to happen, and the timing is what killed me. Because if I blocked it, they wouldn't have done it. They wouldn't have boosted it because the creature was blocked.
Yep.
And it's just like that's how the games go.
It's so.
I've won games doing that same thing. I'll attack with a small creature. My opponent will just go, whatever, I'll just let it through. And then I'm like, I boost it by 13 and win.
I do that shit with the goblins all the time.
Yeah.
Let them sneak past. Okay, they're 2/2s. Well, they auto buff themselves. Now they're 4/4s.
Yeah.
And you just got hit by 8 of them.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like, goblins are little bastards.
And it's all about kind of outsmarting your opponent. You know, trying to trick your opponent into making decisions that give you an advantage.
Playing
Yu-Gi-Oh!
Boring, really
Doesn't have that. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is, when I attack, I can just choose which creature I'm attacking. So I can just target the creature that's the most important for my opponent to keep on the field.
Yeah.
And then maybe they'll be able to stop me. But if I was to choose a different Yu-Gi-Oh! Monster, they'd probably just do the same thing, you know?
Yeah.
There's not really much of a... I guess there is a little bit, because, like, if I have, like, let's say a 1,000 attack power monster and a 2,000 attack power monster, and you attack with a 25, and I have a 700 boost, and you attack the 1,000, I can't use my 700 boost to protect it from dying, because it's only 17.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of strategy there, but you don't know what your opponent has in their hand, right, or on the field to stop you from attacking, and you have no idea what those are going to do. You just kind of hope for the best with Yu-Gi-Oh! When I attack you, I'm just hoping that you can't stop it.
Yeah, because there's not very many cards you can play from your hand.
Well, technically, I need to look up the rules again, but I don't think you can actually play quick play spells on your opponent's turn. Oh, but if you're attacking, it's fine. Never mind. Yeah, because if I'm attacking... No, yeah. Like, if I'm being attacked in Magic, and I have a Rushing Recklessly in my hand, which is a quick play spell that adds 700 attack.
No, in Magic.
In Yu-Gi-Oh!
You said Magic.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. In Yu-Gi-Oh! If I'm being attacked and I've got Rushing Recklessly in my hand and it's a quick play spell, I don't think I'm actually able to use it on my opponent's turn.
From your hand.
From my hand. It has to be on the field.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of ridiculous conditions like that in Yu-Gi-Oh! That Magic just doesn't have. Magic is like, okay, there's two types of things. Either you can play the spell whenever you want, or you can't.
Yeah,
and that's it.
Yeah.
It's not like Yu-Gi-Oh! Has the stupid level system where it's like you have slow spells, which are slow cards, which are cards that can't activate in response to anything happening. They can only activate when nothing else is happening. Then you have quick effects, which are effects that you can activate in response to things happening. But then, even then, you've got quick effects you can activate from your hand, which are quick play spells, during your turn. And then you've got all the other effects, which are like activating a normal trap card or using a quick effect on a creature.
Or like passive effects.
No, passive is different, whole different
category.
Category. Yeah, because Yu-Gi-Oh! Also has, Magic kind of has this too, but Yu-Gi-Oh's is much more defined, where it's got the passive, which is effect doesn't activate, it just has a condition that activates while it's on the field. Then you've got triggered in Yu-Gi-Oh!, which is the effect will automatically activate if something else happens. And then you've got active, which is you have to actively choose to use that effect. In Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic has the same thing. It has the exact same system. It's just that Yu-Gi-Oh! Is more... It's something you notice in Yu-Gi-Oh!, which is bad, in my opinion. Because noticing that there's like these different types of effects and having to figure out how they work and everything is really annoying. But in Magic, it's so streamlined that you don't even notice. You're just like, oh yeah, this effect activates when I gain life. That's simple and easy to understand. It's not like Yu-Gi-Oh! Where you'll have like a condition that's just ridiculous. Like, I can't think of a ridiculous Yu-Gi-Oh! Condition, but some of the triggers are really annoying. Like, if you lose life because your opponent attacked you this turn during the end phase. Like, stuff like that, where it's like, it doesn't even happen when you take the damage. It happens at the end of the turn if you took damage in a specific way. And it's like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Effects are just so complicated.
They're too wordy.
They're way too wordy.
Too wordy. Too much text on the cards now.
Yeah.
And
Every single card has like microscopic text on it. You can't
Yeah.
even read. You need a magnifying glass to read the Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Yeah, it's just not like, okay, when we were playing, what was what was that deck I built? The Ancient Warriors.
Yeah.
I built an Ancient Warrior deck, okay? I still don't know what any of the effects are, and I've never lost a game with it.
That's kind of ridiculous, dude.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know what any of the effects are. I mean, I know what they are. I just never read any of the cards.
Yeah, because the one thing that you can kind of get away with in the online games is that most of the effects are pre-programmed in. So all you have to do is go, oh, something happened, activate.
Yeah, just
okay.
to see.
What is it doing?
Yeah, just see. That's what I did. I fished with it until I figured out what I did, and now like it's just got built-in win conditions. It's devastating, but it's too wordy for me to read. With Magic, I'm like, okay, I want to read the cards.
Yeah, it's like
because the text is there for a fucking reason.
Exactly.
If there's no text on a Magic card, I'm like, all right.
The only time
I love it when it just says vigilance.
The only time that I find it's really annoying when it comes to reading magic effects specifically is usually the conditional draws, where it's like, look at the top 5 cards of your library.
Yep.
You may do something with one of the cards in the top 5 cards of your library if it's a thing. If there isn't one, then they all go to the bottom of the deck.
Give me a dinosaur or a land.
Yeah, I had one that was like, look at the top card of your opponent's, or like effects like that though, where it's like there's occasionally some wordy effects in Magic, but they're not too common. Usually it's pretty easy to understand what they're doing.
Yeah.
And they're super consistent with their writing as well. Yu-Gi-Oh had to change their wording for things so frequently that it's actually difficult to understand the similarities between older and newer cards. Like Wabaku, literally
the text is different.
Yeah, there's different text for Wabaku, and depending on how you interpret the text, you will literally get different effects.
Yeah, it's a different effect per card. Because one ends the battle phase and one doesn't.
Yeah, not even that. One is no battle damage is dealt, and the other one is like the battle phase ends. Or monsters can't be destroyed or something like that.
No, no battle damage and the battle phase ends. We'll have to bring it up. But I think the reason why Magic is so easy to kind of bring people into is just the fact that it hasn't changed. So once you explain the meta.
Yeah, once you explain kind of the general effects that you'll see in Magic, and once you get that kind of, like, once you figure out how to play through the kind of the systems that Magic has, you can kind of adapt to playing any card. Like, I've taught people how to play Yu-Gi-Oh before, and they couldn't get past having to actually read and understand what the effects mean.
I actually just pulled up both cards, okay?
Oh, you actually got both Wabakus there.
Yeah, so the first one is any damage inflicted by an opponent's monster is decreased to 0 during the turn this card is activated.
Yeah.
Okay? And the second one is you take no battle damage this turn. Your monsters cannot be destroyed by battle this turn.
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost like those are completely different effects.
Crazy, because those are completely different effects.
And they are completely the same card.
Yeah, 100% the same card.
They're both Wabaku.
And that is just a generation.
Yeah.
That was literally a generation.
Yeah, I think it was GX that changed it, right?
I believe so. And it doesn't... See, the crazy thing about it is it doesn't decanonize the original card. You just have 2 different texts.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you have to... we play with when we play Yu-Gi-Oh, we play with house rules saying you have to use the text on the card that you have. Yeah. Because, and the reason we do that is because we don't want people saying, oh yeah, but now this card does this.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, but we don't have that card on hand. We don't want to pull up a copy of the card to figure out which one's newer so we can go by the newer effect text.
Exactly.
Right? That's a whole lot of hassle. We're playing a card game.
Yeah, it's a fucking card game. For real. And that's why Magic keeps it consistent, because even when they
re-release old cards,
it's the same effect. Pretty much the same art.
Yeah. Well, sometimes they'll change the art, but yeah, they will re-release cards with the same art.
Yeah, same text.
Same text, same art.
Just the limited edition version.
Yeah. Usually, I told you how Magic works. They have like the I call them the Millennium Packs, but basically they release 1 pack a year, That's just kind of a conglomeration of generally cards that are seen, that are like commonly used. It's basically like just a collection of commonly used cards. And, or at least there's commonly used cards in this. And it's almost like a way of them keeping common cards in the standard meta. So things like the 3-cost counter spell that just counters target spell, that's released almost every single year. Because it's such a basic common card that has a lot of uses and a lot of people use it. Spark is released every single year, pretty much. Because it's such a common basic card with such a simple effect that's used all the time. It's like a 2-cost 3 damage, I think.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah. So that's what they do. They take old cards that have like that kind of work in the meta, and they bring them back for like these Millennium Packs that are released once a year. It keeps the cards in the meta so that people can still use their older versions of the card. Because like if I have Spark from 2001 and it's the exact same effect as the Spark from, actually someone will have to check, confirm this, but I'm pretty sure I can actually use Spark from an older pack as long as it was released in the current set. So I don't have to get a Spark in the new set. I can just use my old Spark.
Yeah, like if you have a Kamigawa Spark and it's a Kamigawa that they're re-releasing.
Yeah, exactly.
Then you can just use that.
I can just use... Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because it's considered the exact same card. And Magic has that... They have that system. You know what the 3-cost counterspell that I was talking about? You want to know what it's called? It's called Counter. I'm pretty sure it's called Counter. And they just re-release it every once in a while because it's such a basic card that's like...
What color is it? Blue?
It's blue.
Yeah, of course it is.
Yeah, of course it's blue. That's the only color that counters.
Yeah, blue. Fuck. So blue decks are Nightmare Factories.
Yeah. But anyways, so they keep releasing old cards and put them back in the meta. You know what happens when Yu-Gi-Oh! Tries to do that? They have to release a whole new deck and archetype to make that card still relevant.
6 Samurai.
Dark Magician. Blue Eyes. Like, we can keep going.
Yeah, let's go.
It's like, they keep releasing Blue Eyes and Dark Magician, but let's be honest, Blue Eyes and Dark Magician decks, if it wasn't for the fact that they re-released an entire new set just to help Dark Magician, those cards would be so irrelevant nowadays.
Yeah, they're terrible, actually.
Yeah. It's
really
a 7-cost, 2-sack, 25.
Yeah.
That's weak nowadays.
For real. When you can, especially if you have a card that's like, equip this to a spellcaster. There's fucking spellcasters that you could get off of a free special summon that are bigger and better.
Yeah.
And they come in turn 1 or turn 2. They can pull equip cards and shit from the fucking deck.
Yeah, exactly.
There's just no incentive to use.
Yeah, why would you use the Dark Magician when there's better other cards?
Same as Blue Eyes. Blue Eyes is just a big, normal dragon.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, they put a bunch of cards into the game to make Blue Eyes better, but without those cards, Blue Eyes would just be a big, slow, turn 3 creature that you might be able to get on the field.
Yeah. And that's just not the fucking case with someone what's a really reasonable Magic card that just isn't, or an archetype, a good archetype or Magic card that isn't gonna
that's still relevant even nowadays.
Yeah, I want to say
well, you know that
what is that fucking Planeswalker, the giant Planeswalker, the dragon.
Bolog?
Nico Bolas.
Nico Bolas.
Yeah, consistent.
You know when Nico Bolas was released? He was released back in, I'm pretty sure it was during the Phyrexian
when you were in college.
Packs. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's still fucking good.
He's still good.
Floating around floating around decks. I played a 5-color dragon the other day and he showed up as the fucking Planeswalker.
Yeah.
Magic just has a way of keeping their cards relevant because they don't change their meta. They don't break their game.
There is a bit of a problem when you actually start playing Historic, and it's not as much of an issue with...
I know.
Hold up. Let me explain what I'm saying.
Okay.
When, I should say not Historic, I should say Legacy. because that's what it's called in the actual card game.
Legacy.
Legacy. And Legacy matches are basically you're allowed to use any card from any packs.
Yeah.
Ever. Right? That's Legacy. And the issue with that is that if you were to take the best card from every single pack over the past 10 years, your deck would be unstoppable, and that's what happens. Right? It's not that you have a ton of good cards or that you have like a winning strategy or that you have one card that just runs the deck. It's that every single card in your deck is just good in its own right, and it makes for a deck that's just ridiculous. And like again, Magic the Gathering Arena doesn't have this problem as much yet because it's only got like a few years of cards in the game so far. But like that is a problem that you have when you keep releasing stuff. And it's not that the new stuff is getting better, because you could take a standard deck and verse it against like a standard deck from 5-6 years ago, and they'd be pretty well matched in most cases.
Yeah, depending on like obviously the matchup.
Obviously the matchup. Like there might just be some off matchups, but for the most part,
it's kind of like MMA, which is something that we're going to be talking about later.
Yeah,
you can have an old dog in the fight, and he can still be just as viable.
Yeah, exactly. That's something that just doesn't happen in Yu-Gi-Oh. Imagine taking Yugi's original deck from the original series that he won the first tournament with, and versus it against scrub tier deck in current meta.
Throw it even against something like the Six Samurai.
Yeah, like
you get walked.
He just gets demolished, and Yu-Gi-Oh has that problem where it's like you don't
even need to do something like the Lyra list,
almost
for fuck's sakes. Like
almost every single deck in current Yu-Gi-Oh beats almost every single deck in the older versions of Yu-Gi-Oh, and you could go back, like you could take every deck in the current game of Link Monsters.
Diff too.
Yeah, it's almost low difficulty. It's
probably
insane.
Low diff, maybe like a fissure or like a hammer shot.
No, how did hammer shot and fissure work when you can only summon one monster per turn? They don't work against decks that can summon 4 or 5 things.
Yeah, dark hole, and most of those decks have built-in counters.
Well, think about it this way: Regeki, one of the most broken and unbalanced cards ever released in the entire.
Unbanned.
Yeah, ever released in the entire game. Regeki is a card that goes, all of your opponent's monsters and just your opponent's monsters get destroyed. It was a card that you could play and then attack your opponent and win in a turn.
Yep.
It got unbanned because they realized that the meta had gone so far that a card that was that broken is no longer broken.
Yeah, it ain't even a threat. Because by that time you have monsters on the field that's like, nyet. I don't like that effect.
Yeah, well, first thing, there's so many cards that just go, I can't be targeted or I can't be destroyed by other cards.
Yep.
Or I can't be affected by other cards. There's so many of those now in the new meta.
Yep.
The second thing is that you have a lot of escalation in Yu-Gi-Oh now, where you can just go, oh, in one turn, I went from having a completely wiped field with no monsters to 3-4 monsters back on the field. Yep. It's like, oh, okay, I guess the Regeki was completely worthless.
Pretty much, yeah. But like it gives you a turn of leeway.
Like you saw, like we were using a standard, like Kelly. I shouldn't say names, but whatever. One of our friends has a Salamangreat deck, and he hasn't done anything to it. He just bought a pre-built Salamangreat deck, which is like part of the new meta, and he let me use it one day, and it's insane. Like I was able to summon 2 to 3 monsters every single turn, even if my field was wiped.
Yeah, and they were good. Like 23s.
And they had like effects that were like, oh yeah, I can just blow stuff up on the field. I mean, I think I had to sacrifice a monster to do it, but it's like, whatever.
You have a free blow up.
Yeah.
And I think one of them let you pull a lower Salamangreat from your graveyard.
Yeah, from my graveyard. Like, it was just like, ridiculous stuff.
Special summoning it, you got one. You got a free one from your fucking graveyard. Like, the new meta is just ridiculous. And Magic just doesn't escalate like that.
Yeah, it doesn't. Like, Magic...
You have to have land.
Magic escalation is something that you have to build up over several turns. Yeah. Because you slowly have to get land out.
Yeah, that's why there's a lot of cards that are like, bring fucking land out. Here, play this for 3, get 2 land, but they're tapped.
Yeah, but they're tapped. So you don't get the escalation this turn, you get it next turn.
Yeah.
And you had to pay 4, usually it's 4, to get those land out, which means that you got to do nothing but pull out those lands this turn.
Yeah, or you pay 3 and enchant a fucking land. So you have 1 extra land now.
Yeah, you have 1 extra land. And it's like... And it's all just to get that slight advantage over your opponent. Because if you get those 2 land, maybe you don't get to do anything this turn, but you'll get to do more stuff next turn. And that might give you an advantage on your opponent.
Well, like that shrine deck, like I played a guy with a shrine deck, and I don't know if you guys know anything about like shrine decks or anything, but they are a nightmare. They're a nightmare, and I've never beaten one before. And today I beat one, and that's because he just did not have enough land to beat me.
Yeah, exactly.
And I have a mirror in my dinosaur deck that lets me throw out big stupids.
Yeah, you call it a mirror, but
it's a portal.
It's a portal.
Yeah.
It's like it's a 4-cost portal that you can pay for and tap it.
Yeah.
To drop I think it's a legendary creature.
Yeah, or an enchantment.
Yeah,
or a saga.
That's yeah.
And I pay for it, and I get big stupids.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of big stupids in my dinosaur.
Yeah.
But it's not like one of those things where that's the way my dinosaur works.
Yeah, exactly. It's just it's another option your dinosaur has.
Yeah.
Because your dinosaur isn't like, oh, I get 4 lands and then every other creature in my deck is legendary and I just have to hope I get the mirror.
No.
The mirror just speeds up your ability to get the dinosaurs out. But if you don't get it, you just wait until you have enough land.
Yeah, and I
to play
still
them.
body. Like, I still have a bunch of dinosaurs that summon tokens.
Yeah. It's not like you're just waiting to get the mirror and get the big guys out. You've got a lot of mid-range in there as well.
Well, you played it today, and you made a guy quit.
Yeah.
Like, made a guy quit, and he was milling you to death.
Yeah, he was trying to.
Yeah. Milled you down to 20 cards, and then tried to batter you.
Dude, Mill's so annoying.
That crab.
I told you about this. I was using my red wolf deck on a guy, and he's just like, yeah, I'm just gonna mill. I'm gonna have you mill until you mill 20 mana cost. And I'm like, oh, everything in my deck is 4 and lower, so there goes about 20, 30 cards out of my deck.
Yeah, he got a bunch of my big dinos, and then
it just stopped. Yeah.
But he did get me down to like 20 cards.
Yeah. It's anyways.
But yeah, a little bit off topic.
I think we probably said enough about this, unless you have something.
Yeah, just to close. Like, the general idea of that topic was that just to say, like, Magic, not to dunk on Yu-Gi-Oh, but Magic has stayed a lot more consistent.
Yeah, like
Yu-Gi-Oh still has like I still have a fondness for the game because, like, when we were kids, we had a lot of fucking fun.
Oh yeah, we loved playing Yu-Gi-Oh as kids and stuff, and we still do enjoy playing it even nowadays. But we look at it now and we see it's you know what? I feel bad bringing up this comparison, but I'm going to do it.
Go ahead.
Yu-Gi-Oh nowadays kind of feels like it's gone in the same direction as Dragon Ball Z. It's something that you had a great fondness for as a kid, but you look at it now and you just look at it and you go, what have they done to you?
Yeah.
Like,
and for why did they do that?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like the power, because again, this is all about power scaling.
Yeah.
Or not power scaling, power creep.
And
it's like Dragon Ball Z has the same thing. There's so much power creep in Dragon Ball Z that the characters have just they have just ridiculous, like, crazy planet busting feats now.
Yeah, they have to force relevancy in the Z fighters now.
Yeah, and Yu-Gi-Oh is the same exact situation. They have to force relevancy in old cards.
Yeah.
They have to release new cards to make the old cards still playable.
Yeah. Like, they released the updated Six Samurai set, and they don't come close to making that deck viable.
But they tried.
They tried, and they just don't.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, the new Six Samurais came out a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's not like new cards. Those are...
No, but when they were, like, revamping the sets, right?
Yeah, yeah. Like, yeah, I'm not quite sure when the new Six Samurais came out, but it was like... It was easily 5-6 years ago. Like, it was a while ago.
Like the new set that they have, because of the...
Oh, right, you're talking about the Secret Samurai.
Yeah,
I was thinking Legendary Six Samurais.
No. They came out a while ago to update the set, but then they came out with the third set, and they don't make it anywhere near as viable as
other things,
yeah.
like
Salamangrates. Two-turn fucked with your Lyralust.
The Lyralust just...
Fuck me. 2 turns.
2 turns. Twice in a row, mind you. Yeah. I did the same strategy in 2 separate games with completely different hands.
Yeah. And it was fucking... There's nothing I could do about it. Like,
I felt bad because I'm like, I'm just playing the game the way that it's intended to be played, and it just is a 2-turn win condition.
Yeah, just built in. But But yeah, that's essentially all I like wanted to say to close. Just like Magic is a lot more consistent.
Yeah, and again, like we don't want to. I know we're saying a lot of like kind of negative stuff towards Yu-Gi-Oh, but we do still love the game.
Yep.
We love playing it, and we really enjoy it. We just wish that it didn't go in the direction it went in.
100%, 100%. So let's.
Okay, so we got one more topic to talk about here, right?
Yeah. And it's kind of like a surprise topic, something that I wanted to like kind of.
Yeah, I'm not even quite sure what this topic is.
Okay.
But he got me to get a logo for it, so we got that on screen now.
Okay.
That's showing up. It'll probably show up eventually.
There is a lot of hype lately, and a lot of talk lately about fighter pay in mixed martial arts.
Okay.
And this is something I wanted to kind of bring to the table because I'm a fucking huge MMA fan. I'm a combat sports fan. I don't give a shit. I think I've said it before, but I'll watch dudes fight whenever, wherever. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck what type of fight it is. Could be good, could be bad. I don't give a shit. Fight it out. Like lately what I've been seeing is a lot of a lot of people discussing fighter pay and what a fighter should be worth. And what fighting is worth to the public. Now, in my personal opinion, I'm not really of the mind that like fighters should do it for the money, but obviously money has to be involved. Like,
because you need to consider the fact that this is their job, so they should be getting some type of compensation.
Obvious. No, I mean when you're doing it for your job, it's a monetary thing, 100%. I just mean in essence, you're not fighting for money.
Yeah.
You're getting money for fighting. You're not fighting for money.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
So, like, to a lot of these fighters, the guys that are fighting for money, they assume that what they're going to get out of it is bank, right? And I mean, you will when you get there, especially when you get at the elite levels, when you get to, like, guys, like, when you get to, like, the UFC levels and, like, one championship levels, like, when you're up there and they're paying you, and you're really getting paid to fight, then I guess, like, of course, obviously, you're gonna make I don't want to say distinctions, but like you want to make how do I put it? You want to make what you want out of it, I guess you should say.
You want to make like you want to feel like you are...
A fighter determines his own worth.
Exactly.
That's basically what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
A fighter determines his own worth, right? And a lot of people right now are saying that like fighters, because Francis Ngannou, there's like kind of a meme and stuff going around, and well, it is a meme now, but like Chad Mendes made $500,000 for a bare knuckle fight. He's making $500,000 to fight a bare knuckle fight.
Yeah.
And the heavyweight champion of the world over at UFC just made $500,000 to fight.
Oh, okay. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So you see the problem.
Yeah.
And then people are countering with, well, Francis turned down millions of dollars. Well, if he turned down millions of dollars, then why is he bitching about his pay?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That seems kind of silly. Why turn down millions and then complain about not getting paid millions?
Yeah, it's like, oh, we'll give you a couple $1 million for this fight, and you're just like, nah, I don't feel like it.
Bro,
and
that's like me making you a
the next
sandwich.
day, it's like, oh, you only gave me $400,000 for this fight? What?
Yeah.
It's like, well, you rejected the $1 million one.
That's like me making you a fucking sandwich, you not eating the sandwich, and then you bitching and being like, yo, bro, I'm hungry, dog.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you
That's
mean?
exactly what it is.
And they're like, that's not a false equivalency. It is what it is. Francis Ngannou fucked himself out of money because he doesn't understand what he's worth as a fighter.
Exactly.
The fighters that understand what they're worth as fighters don't complain about money.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because they're not fighting for fucking money. They're fighting because they're fighters. You know what I mean? Francis Ngannou is a guy that got into fighting. And then started making money because of it. Deontay Wilder, he's a little bit of a different situation. He's a menace. He's a boxer, but I mean, again, one of those guys that came into combat sports late, made a lot of money out of it, and then the money just got used to them. They got used to the money. They lost. Ups and downs.
This is something that we probably should mention is that, like, when you think about it, fighting is one of those things where, like, if you are someone, like, think about this from, like, a person's perspective, right? If you are a person who wants to get into fighting, you're not going to do it because you're like, man, there's so much money in fighting. Because you should everyone should understand that they're never going to be, or they most likely, according to statistics, they're not going to be the top of the fighting world.
Yeah.
They're just never going to get to that point.
No.
And so you don't jump into it because, like, think about it from, like, instead of fighting, let's use another example that's a bit relevant to the current right now. The Olympics. Like, you don't get into sports because you want to be an Olympic gold medalist. Or at least that shouldn't be your goal. You get into sports because you love doing the sport. Or I should say, not that you don't want to get a gold medal, but rather you don't jump into
incentive.
It is incentive. Yeah, so is money.
Yeah, but you don't love a sport for the gold.
Yeah.
You love a sport for the sport, and you win.
Yeah.
You win for gold.
Exactly. And it's like, and it's the same thing with pay. It's like, yeah, you get paid to do the sport, and you're going to get paid to play the sport and do whatever, but you're not doing that sport because it gives you money.
Yeah.
You're doing that sport because you love doing it.
Exactly.
Because no one walks into a stinking like any type of sporting event, no matter what it is. You don't walk into that event and go, I'm going to start being like, I don't know, a shot put guy because I just really want the money that comes with throwing a ball onto a tennis court. I don't know. I don't know anything about sports.
Man, I don't know anything about shot put, bro. So you're probably right. We might be wrong, but you know what? Fuck it. Whatever. But yeah, no, for real though. Like, I'm like a little bit biased because I like the stoic motherfuckers. Like, I like watching guys like Robbie Lawler.
Yeah.
I always like that. The dudes that didn't really say much and then they just come out and smoke you. You know, I like dudes like that. But hey, that's not me saying like I don't really mind like shit talkers or anything, or like guys that aren't vocal. I just, you know, the dudes that complain about money.
Yeah.
They're not in the sport for the sport. They're in it for the money. And it puts them at odds with the company because they're more concerned about money.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you're getting enough money to pay. If
you're in, like, and fighting is one of those sports where you do have to consider, like, these guys have huge, like, medical bills, crazy diets, crazy exercise routines. They need trainers.
Yep.
And it's like the money that they're getting covers all those things. Like, they're getting enough money to... If they're not getting enough money to cover those, then maybe we should have a discussion.
Of course.
But I almost guarantee you they are.
$500,000 is covering.
Yeah.
Like, camp.
Yeah.
If it's not, you're training and living well above your means.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's... For 25 minutes, you're making $500,000.
Yeah.
Not to mention all the promotional shit from it. Like, proceeds.
Brand deals.
Yeah.
I mean, brand deals, I heard that you said they were kind of messed up right now.
It's just because, like, well, you can still get outside
sponsorship,
right?
Yeah.
You just can't be sponsored by anything other than Venom right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the UFC has deals like that. But One Championship doesn't, and they pay their guys handsomely. They love it over there. Everybody's going over there to fight. And I see these fuckers in the threads, and they're like, One Championship has free events on YouTube, and that means that obviously they don't make enough money as the UFC. You know how big Asia is, bro? You know how fucking big Asia is, bro? They put it on YouTube for Western audiences.
This is something people don't consider. This is not like...
Asia is 3 times the size of everywhere you are. How about that? Wherever you're listening from right now, I fucking guarantee you, Asia is 3 times bigger than that.
Unless you're some of those Filipino guys, because they're in Asia.
Yeah, we love you guys. Yeah, we love you guys. No, but for real, like, it's honestly ridiculous It's honestly ridiculous. I've heard that argument. I like it. That fucking they put free videos on YouTube, so they obviously they
here's the thing about YouTube, guys. Just
tell them about YouTube.
Okay, bro. So, you get paid to post stuff on YouTube for free.
No, you don't. Wait. Hold on. Do we need a spoiler warning for that?
Spoilers to who?
The rest of the fucking world, bro. You know what I mean? Like, yo, it's honestly, it's fucking, it's stupid shit. If that's not, it's not even a counter argument.
Yeah.
It's because we're in a completely different time zone than them.
Yeah, exactly.
How many of the Western fans are they really like? Do you expect one championship to account in pay-per-view sales for a Western audience? How do they account for a Western audience that has to tune in at 2 and 3 o'clock in the fucking morning?
Yeah, exactly. It's like no one is crazy enough to be up that late.
Yeah, maybe 10% of the population.
The 10% is generous.
Of like that. Well, you know what I mean though. Like,
yeah.
If let's be fucking real here. Like one championship does that is because they want to advertise to the West. They want people to grab their shoe, to watch their shows at 1 o'clock in the fucking morning.
Yeah.
They want people to fill their stands. They want people around.
Yeah. And like, it's a great way, like, that something that's great about YouTube that people really aren't talking about is the fact that YouTube, and I mean, let's be honest, any video platform can do this. So like TikTok or whatever else. But anyways, it's not used for monetization as much as you think. It's used to bring people in because everyone can just watch YouTube whenever they want.
Yeah.
And there's no barrier of entry. If you like watching like fights, and one champion has those fights on YouTube, that makes you now invested in one champion fights. So that they can now advertise future fights to you so that you could potentially become a customer that actually goes to a real live fight in the future.
Or buys their merch.
Or buys their merchandise.
Holy fuck. Or even buys a pay-per-view.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I keep forgetting about pay-per-views being a thing. But yeah, pay-per-views too.
Like, come on guys. Why is that so so my thing is like maybe it's like an ignorance. Maybe it's like an ignorance of like the Western audience. Let me ask Western MMA fans, do you honestly think that you're the biggest dogs? Do you honestly think that the West has cornered the market on mixed martial arts? You know, like, I'll leave it open to discussion, but do you honestly think so? Because statistics show they have bigger numbers, like more fanfare, more crowd rapport. Sure, like, I mean, you guys got, like, Western pay-per-view numbers. Like, Conor McGregor brought in Western pay-per-view numbers, and they were really good. But if you have one guy that's your guy for pay-per-views, that means your company is terrible.
Yeah. That's,
you know what I mean? Like,
if you have just one avenue to get revenue out of, then it means you're on pretty shaky ground as a company.
Yeah. Like, when Folian goes to fight, the Filipinos go out to one.
That would be the equivalent of, like, imagine if American football, but everyone only watches Philadelphia.
Yeah.
It's like, how does American football stay on its feet if that's the situation?
No, straight up. Yeah. It kind of puts you guys in, like, shaky legs, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But that's the argument, right? Conor McGregor bought in record pay-per-view sales. Conor McGregor himself.
Yeah.
That's it. And he's really not that good of a fighter. He's good, of course, but, like, he has holes in his game. His holes got exposed, and he really hasn't returned to the sport in the same form that we've seen him in.
Yeah.
I mean, he beat up an aging cowboy, and then he came back and he lost to Dustin twice. And that was, pretty nasty losses. But I think ultimately what it comes down to is, like, if you look at the guys over at One Championship, they're not bitching about money. They're happy with the money that they're making. They're happy with the exposure that they're making. They're happy with fighting for an organization that's exposing them.
Yeah.
I think And again, like, I love UFC. Been a huge fan for a long time. The fan base is pretty toxic. Pretty toxic. They just they're really dumb. Like, a lot of like Western MMA fans are still like the just bleed kind of guys. Like, they don't really strike me as the type of, like, I've had discussions with them and they're not really like. Some of them are. Like, I had a couple of my friends. Like, I've met some really good friends on some MMA threads, and I really appreciate their input on a lot of stuff, you know. But in terms of logistics, like, I'm always in it for fighters. But if a fighter isn't making the best decision for him, then I'm not going to stand up for him.
Yeah.
Francis has done nothing but shown that he's like poorly mismanaged his money since he's got into the UFC.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, was buying his mom a house as soon as he fucking got like his first big paycheck. Started buying cars and shit. Was like, you know what I mean? Going out of his way to spend money.
Exactly. I mean, the buying a house thing, that's debatable as to whether that's a bad investment or not. But the cars, it's always like...
I was just using it as an example.
Yeah, of like him spending money.
Yeah.
Like, just kind of being very frivolous.
And just showing off that he was spending money. Right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
And then to say something...
Yeah, because that's something you don't need to tell people that you bought a house.
Right. And then to go out of your way to say, oh, look, I turned down millions. And then now you're complaining about a $500,000 payday.
Yeah.
If you turn down millions, you wouldn't be complaining about this money.
Exactly.
It just does not make sense.
Mm-hmm.
To me, anyway. If I wouldn't turn down millions. And if I did, I would not turn it down for $500,000.
Exactly.
You sign fucking contracts, dude.
Like, yeah, you know how much money you're gonna make.
Yeah, like,
it's not like he was like, you know, okay, yeah, I'll go into the fight and whatever.
They don't sign the contract the night before the fucking fight.
Yeah, and
they sign the contract, train for the fucking fight, and then fight.
Exactly, and it's like, you know, you don't like you know, go through all the training, go into the fight, do the fight, then at the end of the fight, someone walks up with a bill or a check and goes, "Here's how much you made for that fight." Like, that's not how it works.
No, like, they have accountants, fucking lawyers. Like, it's not like the Pride days where they would just give Rampage a bag of fucking money and be like, "Here you go."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Rampage walked through LAX with a fucking bag full of just Benjamins. Just American money. $1 million in American money. Like, where the fuck you get this? He's like, "In a cage fight." Yeah. Like, for real. Like,
yeah, that's not how it works. He knew how much money he was making.
100%.
He only started complaining about it after getting the money.
After getting the money, yeah. But
right? Because think about it this way. If he was going to complain about how much money he was making on that fight, guess what he could have done? He could have...
taken the fight.
He could have not taken the contract for the fight. He could have tried to amend the contract to get a better deal out of it. Renegotiate the contract.
Yeah. Like, Dana and the guys that write contracts in the UFC write them away for a reason. Guys get paid what they're worth.
Yeah.
100%. If you're not pulling in for the company, you're not making money.
And that's the other thing, is they do, like, when it comes to fights, it's very dependent on sales.
And marketability.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
That's why the whole Conor McGregor fucking argument, it makes the rest of the UFC look bad. When you use that argument, when you're like, "Oh, Conor McGregor brought in record sales." So what are you saying? Are you saying that the UFC was nothing before Conor McGregor? Like, that's what I'm wondering. That's all that I'm wondering. Because nobody has made those numbers since. Mm-hmm. So is the UFC still nothing? So before Conor, was it nothing? And then after Conor, is it still nothing?
Yeah. I'm guessing Conor McGregor is the example he was using for someone who got paid a lot more than him?
Well, no. Conor McGregor is a guy that, like, whenever people debate, like, you know, who makes more money, like, which promotion makes more money, the Western fans always use Conor McGregor as, like, their guy, because he brought in pay-per-view sales and shit, you know what I mean? He brought in record pay-per-view sales, which is fine. But nobody's done that since or before.
Yeah, exactly.
Would you not rather have a consistent money base?
Exactly. That's you know what that is? That's
because Conor McGregor made so much, it draws attention to guys like Francis.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing. Yeah, you bring in so many people, and it just means that you have a wider audience now to like for potential viewership.
Yeah.
But you can't guarantee that because like
they have to also be invested in those other fighters.
Exactly.
Like when Conor McGregor left, his fans left with him.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Not all of them. Obviously, some people will stay because they actually got invested in the sport itself rather than just Conor McGregor. But you do, and that's the same thing. You know, a good example for that it would be, well, we're Twitch streaming right now, but a lot of Twitch streamers find that they have a difficult time transitioning from like let's say one video game that they're streaming to another video game they're streaming because they find that their fans are fans of the video game and not of the streamer.
Yeah.
And so they'll leave if they change video games. But you're not going to lose everyone. So you do tend to gain more than you lose. Like, let's say if one guy's like... I'm trying to think of a good example of like games that are...
Marshall Mind. Marshall Mind plays UFC games. Marshall Mind's a UFC streamer.
Yeah, and it's like, do you think that people would...
And he's made that comment before. He's like, I want to play other games. And then he moved on to like boxing games. He does boxing games and stuff, right?
Yeah.
But he always made statements like he wanted to play other games, but he wasn't sure if his fan base would stick with him through it. And that shouldn't be a thought for him.
Exactly. You should just go, hey guys, I mean, I would say stay within his general category.
Yeah.
Like play fighting games. Play Street Fighter. Play like other games that are kind of in that category of like switching to boxing is a great kind of switch because it's a very similar game.
Exactly, and he's so good. The dude's technically sound. Shout out to Marshall Mind. Go check him out. Like
he's on Twitch.
He's on YouTube.
Oh, he's on YouTube.
I think he streams on Twitch as well.
Probably does.
Yeah, the guy's a menace. He's so good, so good. But yeah, like it's one of those things, right? Like MMA. Fighting isn't one of those things you get into for fucking money. And if you get into it for money, you're going to be really disappointed when you don't make it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not saying that Francis is going through that right now, but I'm saying I believe Francis and his team mismanaged his money.
Yeah.
He was a guy that really, from what I've seen, from all the things that I've seen about him, he was a guy that ultimately came from nothing and ended up with a ton of cash at the end of the day. So, you know, for me to say like, oh, you shouldn't have bought that, is beyond me. Obviously, I shouldn't have said, like, I can't say that. But what I can say is it doesn't make sense that a guy would be going out of his way to spend all that money, turn down millions of dollars, and then be upset with $500,000.
Yeah.
It seems that there's more at play.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, that's something that we probably just aren't privy to.
Yeah, obviously. And the rest of the fan base isn't as well. But I'm not going to assume the UFC is at fault.
Yeah. We just don't have the information to say that.
Exactly.
Right? Like, we have to... It's one of those things where a lot of people have the mindset of, I want someone to blame. I want to blame someone for this. Yeah. And so they'll immediately go and say, oh, well, organization that's paying him, it's probably their fault for some reason. But we really shouldn't do that. We shouldn't jump to a conclusion if we have no evidence of that fact. We should assume that everything is running as it should be unless we have evidence otherwise. And if everything was running smoothly, then he was given a contract, he knew how much he was going to get paid, he got paid that amount, and then just started complaining about it. Yeah. Again, unless things come out saying, oh, they violated the contract and didn't pay him the amount that they agreed upon. But guess what? If that was the case, he could just take them to court.
That's a legal thing.
Exactly.
At that point, yeah. That's
and
not
it's
a
like,
Twitter thing.
Why hasn't he taken them to court?
Exactly.
If that's the case.
No, because it's a Twitter thing.
Yeah.
If it was a legal thing, it wouldn't be a Twitter thing.
Yeah. No, you never. Actually, yeah, that's true.
You would just
you wouldn't even post it on Twitter.
If you won, yeah, of course. But if you didn't, why post it? You're gonna look like a fucking idiot. Like there's those dudes that are suing Dana right now. Yeah. And they're not all over Twitter. Yeah. I mean, like, there's some posts here and there, but, like, they're not actively, like, going out of their way to fucking flambe Dana White.
Okay. Well, I think... Yeah, do you have any closing statements on this?
No, just... Honestly, no. I think I said my piece on it. You?
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm good for it as well. So that's all the topics we had for today. Just the Magic one and the UFC one.
Yeah.
I guess it's technically Magic versus Yu-Gi-Oh!
and then
UFC.
UFC versus one championship.
Yeah, versus one champion.
So we had a good episode. Again, like it's been fun. Like this is our 7th episode. Sixth?
I counted wrong. It's 6.
Okay, so this is our 6th episode with the tier list.
Unless I counted wrong again, in which case it's 7. But either way, it's one of those two numbers.
Yeah, it's the 6th or 7th episode. We know we have a tier list, and that's what keeps throwing us off.
Yeah, because we can't remember if the tier list is counted in the numbers or not.
Yeah. So, but honestly, like this is so fun. Doing this every weekend for you guys is so fun. Getting it done, putting it up. We're gonna do a video this week that we're putting together. This is gonna be our first pre-recorded segment.
Well, our first episode was pre-recorded as well.
Oh yeah, sorry. I guess, but this is gonna be our first like pre-recorded full episode.
Yeah.
We're gonna like pre-record this thing, try to edit it, fuck around with it, bring it out to you guys. It's gonna be. Do you want to tell them? You want to tell them what it is? Or do you want to keep it a surprise?
I think we'll just keep it a surprise.
Okay.
We'll keep it a surprise.
Okay. It's something like Pie Truck's wanted to do for a while. And
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
really fucking excited. Like I get to do some reading. We get to watch some cool shit. It's gonna be fucking awesome. And then we'll get it done and have it out to you guys as soon as possible. So
we'll probably release it on Saturday.
Yeah, same time.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit earlier, maybe a little bit later. It just depends on how things are going.
Yeah. Depends on how I feel on that day.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And again, so we're not going to see you guys till next Saturday. We're not going to talk to you guys till next Saturday. So for all of you listening, it's going to be Valentine's Day weekend. So have a good weekend, okay? Cherish your loved ones. Spend some quality time together. And thanks for having a slice of Savage Pie.